Well, it's starting to warm up around these parts and maybe where you are too. So it's a good time to think about spring cleaning and yard maintenance. What are some good knives and tools you can use to keep things in check? We're going to talk about that and more on today's episode of Knife AQ, episode 207 of the series where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the KnifeCenter, and welcome to the show. Thomas is behind the camera as usual.
Or am I?
Or is he? He could just be speaking to me through something. I don't know.
There's an idea. Remote cams.
It's possible. Anyway, if you're new to the show, what we do is we answer your questions. And if you have a question and you think it could be worthy of inclusion in a future episode, drop it in the comments down below. Let's get into the first question today, however, which comes from pretentious name 01. Regular pretentious name 00 was already taken. Hey DCA and Tomto, that's reverse Tomto to you. It's the start of gardening and backyard maintenance season. I find myself in need of sharp things to work my garden. Any suggestions? Also, any suggestions on how to sharpen a machete? One that may have gotten a ding in the edge on accident. I have some things to help you out here on both counts. And machete is a great place to start. Machete, has myriad lawnscaping uses, mostly cutting, some digging maybe sometimes too. And you talk about having a machete that may have gotten dinged, may have gotten some edge damage. I do have a quick way, or my preferred way to tackle that sort of problem, which I'll get to at the end of the tool suggestions here. But for that reason, I have many machetes in my house. Not as many as our good friend Joe Flowers, certainly, but I have plenty to choose from. But most often, if I'm, doing stuff around the yard, not always, but most often I reach for stuff that's really inexpensive, such as this Tramontina machete right here. In fact, this is the Tramontina Bolo machete, 14.5-inch blade. It's like 16 bucks. I also, I have a 14-inch Tramontina, not exactly the Bolo that I've kind of modified a bit over the years, because I can hack and slash with that thing indiscriminately, whether I'm, working close to the driveway or a sidewalk, or, worried about rocks and gravel in the dirt that might ding the edge. I don't care. I can just swing this thing with abandon. And in that way, the adage that, the cheapest machete is the best machete kind of holds up because you're not afraid to use it. That's a good thing. But the Tramontina series is a great place to look for a budget yard machete. 16 bucks as mentioned for this carbon steel blade. Comes with wood handles pinned on right here. Cool thing about the wood here is it's easy to work. If you want to modify the shape a little bit to fit your hand a little more nicely than it may come from, or than it may do out of the box, you can do that. That's a lot of fun. No sheath is included on these, but for a Yardwork machete, you may not need one anyway, so that's not too big of a deal. Another thing you could look at in the the machete family tree is the Cold Steel Garden and Camp machete right here. It's about $17, 26-inch blade, but only the bent section here and a little bit up the straight is sharpened, and it is sharpened on both sides. This is really nice because you can kind of, you won't have to lean over quite as much, and you can use this to cut things at surface level, almost like a grass whip or like a fixed blade weed whacker, essentially. These can be really handy. You can dig in to the dirt with the bent section here if you want to. You can kind of scoop with that if you're trying to get some roots out or something like that. But this is another fun thing to mess around with. Again, very inexpensive, carbon steel blade, injection molded handle, easy to maintain or you won't feel bad about thrashing it. But whatever you choose, machetes are a good first thing to take a look at. Other thing you might want is a good wood saw. And we carry Silky saws, which is far and away my personal favorite in terms of like hand-powered sawing implements. We sell other saws too, but I have a hard time not recommending the Silky because something about them, they just work. the best that I've ever found. I'm a fan of the Big Boy series. It's got about, what is it, an 18-inch blade? Sorry, not that long, a 14-inch blade, which might get a little big. It's good for yard work stuff, but might get a little big for some garden stuff. The Boy series, such as this one right here, might be a good option for you. It's about an 8-inch blade, $60 for this. You got a couple of different angles that you can adjust the handle to, depending on what you're needing to cut. And it folds up, or locks in the open position, and then folds up into a nice, handy package when you're not using it. It even comes with a kind of plastic tube carrying case so you can slip this in. I do like the Big Boy, as mentioned. That's kind of the biggest one they make, or at least the biggest one we carry before you get into the big two-handed, like Katana Boy series saws. I do have one of those too, because they are a heck of a lot of fun, which is kind of a big two-handed thing. Those are really cool. But those are significantly more expensive. The Big Boys start around, or they're priced around $70 to $80. Katana Boy, we're talking hundreds for the least expensive one of those. Yeah, $250 for the Katana Boy 500. The 650, which is even longer, is $350. So probably overkill for most, and you are into like cheap chainsaw territory in that price range. So you got to be a little more of a bladed implement geek like myself to really want a Katana Boy.
Well, the chainsaw runs on gas. The Katana Boy runs on sandwiches.
That is true. Gas or electric. They're making good electric battery-powered chainsaws these days, believe it or not. But we're not here to get into that debate. Powered by sandwiches. Well, when I'm doing yard work, it's usually,
I'm
eggs,
guessing soup.
eggs, bacon. Well, from the night before, I guess it would be, But like we're getting to the end of soup season now, though. So like they sort of, as soup season tapers off, is when the yard care season.
Sandwich season.
Soup. Is that like a bread bowl?
Yes.
After your machete and your saw, some digging implements, specific Japanese-style gardening implement right here, the Hori Hori, which literally translates dig, which I always like to mention because it amuses me. This is the Bare Bones Hori Hori Classic, comes in about $32, and it's essentially a hybrid between a fixed blade knife and a spade. You have concave section here on one side for use in shoveling. On the other side, you have, as you can see, a plain edge blade on one side, mostly serrated edge on the other, and you've even got a reasonably sharp brush hook right here for limbing small bits and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a bottle opener.
You probably could use it, but you are dealing with an apex there. You might actually punch a little hole in it. I don't know. We'd have to test it to find out. Plenty of ways to open a bottle, though, when you're around the house, I would imagine. Very useful for, digging, plying at roots and that sort of thing. Spades and shovels. This is a bit more of a camp tool generally, but the Cold Steel Special Forces shovel is like $19 and is very versatile. This can pull off, in addition to digging duty, it can work well as an impromptu hatchet or machete as well. Not as well as a dedicated hatchet or machete, certainly, but it can do in a pinch. In fact, the winner, I think it was season 3 or season, can't remember which season, but on History's Alone show, where they sent folks out with 10 items of their selection to survive with, Stephen Fowler, the winner of one of those seasons, he had this and a Leatherman, I think, like this and a multi-tool. And this did all of his bigger, like, bladed work, hatchet, machete, chopping, splitting, all that sort of thing, in addition to being a great digger as well. They're pretty neat. They make a longer one too, the Spetsnaz shovel. That's like $27, 30 inches overall. This camp shovel right here is about 20 inches overall. I have one of these. I've used it super extensively, not really in a yard maintenance capacity. I take it on every camping trip ever since I bought it. It's phenomenal. Next up, pruning knives. Right here, if you're talking, garden and like bush maintenance specifically on a small scale as opposed to like bigger scale stuff, a pruning knife. These are designed with this swayback handle to be held in a reverse grip right there. You've got this hawkbill shaped blade for pruning, as mentioned. This is a Victorinox version right here. The large pruning knife, it's like $50, $48. Slightly smaller version. It's not that much shorter, but it's a little bit slimmer in the blade for about $44 right there as an option.
It's not for prunes.
It's not for prunes, although you could in a pinch. Opinel actually makes a really cool three-piece set right here with a folding saw, a pruning blade, and actually I think they call this their garden knife. Check actually. But this set right here is like $79. So you're getting a few things for that. Let me just confirm that that's the garden knife. I'm forgetting. It is indeed the number 8 garden folding knife right there. It's got a drop point as opposed to the clip point of most Opinel models, and it has a bit of a drop here at the end. We can't see it because it's in the box, but we'll put a picture up here in the corner for you. Well, while we're on the subject of pruning, we do have like pruning shears and loppers. This Klaus right here is a pretty underrated brand in like scissor and lopper and pruning and this type of implement. They make some really cool, really high quality stuff. This is the 8-inch hot forged lopping shear. It's like $31, so it's not the cheapest one out there, but they are very good, which is a nice thing. We showed an actual knife here a second ago. I got to talk about Mora. We always say Mora over really anything is what Mora stands for. Just a simple, uncomplicated, unfancy, small fixed blade knife can be great around the garden. It can pinch in for a lot of these other like digging, pruning, cutting, trimming tasks where you don't want something big swinging around. And this model 510 right here is always a winner, whether you're using it outdoors or whether you're using it in a yard work scenario. And my tabs here are all out of order, so I apologize. 3 3/4 inch carbon steel blade. It's like $15. Comes with a very slim plastic sheath, which can be stashed anywhere. You can throw it in your pocket or on the belt or in your yard work pail or whatever. It's got a drain hole at the back, so it can even get a little bit wet. It is carbon steel though, so make sure to keep it dry when you want to. What else? One other thing I wanted to show just for kicks. I don't actually know if this is fully appropriate for yard work. This is from Kikuichi is the brand. This is a flower arranging shears. They could have some applications in a garden. I'm not sure. But I saw it on our website and I hadn't held one before, so I was like, let's bring it out. It feels awesome. It's $100. It's an expensive set of shears, but for professional use, that's not a bad investment if it's something you're going to be using all day, every day. I'm not a flower arranger, so I don't know if you would be with this or not. But they are pretty cool. Really big hoops on them. It has this like forged style going on. I like it. Thought I'd show it to you too. That is what I've got for tools. On to the second part of your question, now that we've taken up all of your time. How to sharpen a machete, especially one that may have edge damage. The game changer for me here, because no one wants to deal with that. Manually doing it with stones can take a long time depending on how aggressive that edge damage is. I turn to electricity in this sort of scenario. And although I have professional knife grinding equipment now, before that, I used the Ken Onion Work Sharp with the blade grinding attachment. This is the latest generation of that, newer than the one I had. This is the Elite Mark II version of the Ken Onion Work Sharp. $250 for this. It comes with the blade grinding attachment and the standard triangular attachment. But the blade grinding attachment is what you want for a long blade like a machete. Because trying to, if you're using this in the triangle formation where you're drawing through like this, it doesn't work so well. Your arm isn't going to be long enough to draw it through consistently, especially when getting into bigger than 12 to 14 inch machetes, especially, but even on these.
I might put the machete in a vise and move the sharpener.
One could do that, and I have done that with some other types of tools that don't really work well on this. My grass whip, for example, not this, but something like it. Yeah, you can do that with lawnmower blades for sure, definitely. But for a machete, and this works with longer kitchen knives too, you're going to be working off of this section right here. And basically this setup mimics professional knife grinding equipment, just on a smaller scale. But with this, you can set your angle with, where is it? This is your angle adjuster right back here. You can see, the numbers are, I'd say, approximate because you're dealing with a convex edge here. Depending on the pressure you put on it, it could, not be a super precise angle measurement, but it gets you in the ballpark. Set what you want, and you can come across vertically right here. This is one of the coarser grit belts, and that'll get you through any aggressive chipping. And also, one thing to note about these Tramontinas is they come with a blunted tip, which makes it a little more durable if you're using this in a digging capacity. But if you want your tip to be sharpened, like I've done on my Tramontina at home, this is going to make that a heck of a lot easier than trying to use diamond files or manual stones or anything like that. But you just have to hold it horizontally. You come across, you do your thing, you move it around. Bob's your uncle. Bang. There you go. Move through the series of grits, obviously, to get it back to the fully sharp state. But this makes edge damage much less of a nail biting experience, especially when you're using a cheap machete. Just whack it, do what you need to do with it, and you have it back in tip-top shape in not too many minutes. Check it out. That'd be my recommendation right there. Well, now we come to the reboot of Damyr's Buried Treasure. Where thanks to his original question, we went through the alphabet and showed you a brand from each letter or thereabouts that we had never shown on the channel before. We're going to go back through the alphabet again now, but we're going to, it'll be from brands you have seen this time, but a model that we have not shown on the channel before, to the best of my knowledge anyway. And starting with A, this week, Alliance Designs is the brand. The Conquest is the knife in this case. This is a collaboration with, Ian Pekarsky, CMF Metalworks, and these are made by Riot for the Alliance Designs brand. And that Alliance design really talks about the collaborative nature of these knives. Each one is in collaboration with a prominent knife maker. This knife is about $335, which is not unexpected for Riot levels of quality here. 3.5-inch drop point blade, trailing point in this case, frame lock flipper. Nice bronze stonewashed finish on this one. In the hand, it's not a huge grip despite the size, and that's mostly due probably to the amount of flipper tab right here and the fact that it's not a super wide handle. But there's definitely plenty to hold on there. Plenty there to hold on to, and the angle of the handle really does help you get a lot out of the slicey portions of that blade, all of that belly. Hollow ground on this M390 as well, which is less frequently seen. Keeps the edge or the thickness behind the edge very thin, or thinner longer than a flat grind would get you. What else? We got a milled pocket clip right here. Some nice little subtle details here, like this little scoop out on the inside. We've got a frame lock, as mentioned. We've got a flipper tab with phenomenal flipping action. It's a Riot. We'd be surprised if it didn't flip well. Check them out. A lot of cool stuff from Alliance Designs. They've got collaborations as well with Ray Laconico for one, Kevin Foster, Pat Hammond, Jeremy Marsh, and Victor Barajas. At least that's what we've got in stock on the site right now. There you go. Next up, we come to the lightning round. First question today. In the lightning round is from Jeremy 2. Hey David, what keychain multi-tools have a pen and scissors? Two spring immediately to mind that are still made. The Victorinox Manager and Midnight Manager are unfortunately discontinued, but the Victorinox Signature is an option right here. It's about $45 for a blue translucent version. This silver or more clear version is about $50. It has, for one thing, has a small LED, which your phone is probably brighter than this LED, but we're not going to get into that part there. It has a nice extendable pen right there, and that's a pressurized cartridge, very handy, and fortunately it's on the opposite side of where the key ring is, so you don't necessarily have to detach it from your keys to actually write with it. And in addition to that, it's basically got the tool complement that the Victorinox Classic comes with. So, the Classic SD specifically. So you got a pen blade, a nail file with a small flathead, pair of scissors, and actually no toothpick and tweezers on this. Instead, you've got the pen and the little LED light. The Mini Champ, which has a lot more implements here on the inside, is also comes equipped with that pen. So you can get that as well. Not the ALOX sample version. You got to go the Celador version. Next question, Alexander Grawl. I would like someone to explain to me why some knives have 2 or more blades on them. Most modern folders don't, but in terms of older school pocket knives, you would often find many blades, such as this Case Stockman right here, just as an example. And the reason for that at the time was these are, typically offer 2 or more specialized blade styles that give you, different advantages. The Stockman, as just to use it as the example here, has a long clip point blade. That's just kind of your general purpose blade, longer slices, eating food, regular cuts. You've got a sheep's foot style blade right here. Great utility knife, great for using the tip, any type of dragging cuts and scoring cuts. Those types of things lend themselves especially well to this. And Stockman, AKA cattleman or cattle rancher, would see or could potentially see good use out of this third blade, which was the spay blade, designed literally to castrate livestock.
Poor fellows.
There you go. The tip here is designed to be less pokey, less piercy than some other options. So by and large, the reason for multiple blades was multiple specialized or more niche use cases for the actual blades used. Sometimes, I think of like a Conquest, it's basically got 4 sheep's foot blades. So it's a bunch of things, stepping on each other's toes and doing the same work there. They all pretty much do the same thing. So some of those wind up being for style, but at the root of it, the reason why most of that was the case was different use cases. Well, now we come to our final question of the day, which is, of course, our most seriousest question of the day, which comes from Joe Lopez. Hello, DCA and Thomas. Hope you're both well and enjoying the 2025 knife season so far.
No, we're on city water here.
I got well water at home, so I'm all right.
Yeah. But we're at the office.
So you are not well and I am well, is what we're saying.
I'm on city water. Yeah.
A most serious query for you.
This is a pretty serious discussion already.
In order to appease Odin and enter Valhalla, you need to expire with a blade in your hand. So that being said, what blade would you need to impress the gods and not be laughed out of Viking heaven? Thanks. Well, I'm tempted to make some sort of, play on some of the Viking reproduction type swords that we carry here at the Knife Center, such as this item right here, which is from Cass Hanway. This is the Trondheim, right? But wouldn't that just be posing? And wouldn't Odin be able to see right through you if we went with something like that? I think the more true to one's self answer here is it doesn't matter quite what you're carrying. You just got to be the right kind of person to be carrying or holding the knife in the first place. So carry and use what is true to you. And then you'll always be able to hold a knife. I'm holding a knife right now.
True.
It's kind of a serious, actually serious question, or answer to a most serious question right there.
I think it has to do with what kind of knife the other guy was holding.
Oh, here's how I bring it back to something funny. Does anyone know Nanowar of Steel out there? The Valhalla song? As we know, from that masterpiece of heavy metal fun, Odin doesn't care about violence anymore. He cares about flat pack furniture. Look it up. Thank me later. That is all we have time for today, folks. Keep your questions coming. Keep your most serious questions coming as well. Let me know if you've got some alternate suggestions for folks down in the comments. And of course, if you've got a question and you think it could go well in a future episode, drop it down below. If you want to get your hands on any of these items, check out the links in the description. Those will take you to KnifeCenter.com, where don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program or our sezzle payment options if some of these items are a little too expensive for you and you want to break things up into easier chunks. But that's all for now. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we're signing off for now. See you next time.
So Odin's going to be more into your pocket bit driver than anything else.
Probably.